Are you feeling studious?
Bro, you not the thinker.
Is your grade average directly proportional to the deterioration of your mental state? Society might tell you this isn't normal, that your studies shouldn't induce episodes of mania. These are of course lies, and as any true academic knows, the path to success is paved with unhealthy amounts of repressed rage. Thankfully, this video can serve as a touchstone for those of you ready to unlock their true ambition. Today, I'm going to be discussing a lesser spoken about part of YouTube that fascinates and scares me. Those of you who have not yet discovered the magic of abusing stimulant medication will probably have found your own way of focusing on whatever work you need to complete. Whether that's white noise, classical music, or spectating a girl and her cat trapped in an infinite time loop, you will likely have seen playlists or videos on YouTube dedicated to helping you study. What you may or may not have also noticed is the strange quantity of these videos that focus on darker themes. You might have scrolled past titles like, "This playlist will make you feel like a 19th century villain," and taken no notice. But you should have. Videos like that barely scratch the surface of a whole subgenre dedicated to converting innocent, well-meaning people looking for a productivity booster into antisocial menaces intent on succeeding by any means necessary. What I'm referring to is a part of the internet and pop culture as a whole called dark academia. Generally, you can think of it as an aesthetic or theme. It's insanely popular on sites like Pinterest, and some people make it their entire personality. Applying this to YouTube, you can see how studying to old, gloomy, classical music might be an enticing prospect to the well-meaning dark academic. Clicking on the video I mentioned a moment ago, you can immediately see the early signs of these playlists' transformative effects. Perhaps you take a quick look in the comments section and stumble across what appears to be a teacher describing the elation he feels from failing 10th graders. And this playlist is just a tip of the iceberg introductory example of dark playlist content, and these kinds of comments only get more concerning and frequent from here. You know what they say, go big or go home, and right now I'm going to throw you in at the proverbial deep end. Let's take a look at this video for example. Just at first glance you can already see there's been a tonal shift. Granted, this one isn't explicitly for studying, and I don't think you can call this dark academia anymore, but hopefully you can see what I'm getting at. Besides, there are enough people in the comments talking about working/studying/researching that it basically fills the same purpose, and this video was always more about the audience than the creators anyway. I could be convinced that Bad Rabbit wasn't actually intending this music to be used whilst killing people, but I find it much harder to apply the same skepticism to comments like this. "My whole life is a lie, and I want to taste some blood so I could feel better." Unfortunately, it seems Bad Rabbit has betrayed my trust. Here they left a heart on a comment that doesn't just threaten to carry out the video's purpose, but also bears an uncanny resemblance to something that would have been said in Morbius. What I'm trying to illustrate with this example is the early signs of a pipeline forming. At one end, unsuspecting straight-edge types are seduced by the melancholy tones of two Austrian men, leading to a domino-like chain of suggested videos and resulting in the kind of comments we are beginning to see here. Despite the literal goldmine these videos represent when it comes to the treasure of unhinged preteen rambling, I want to pivot back to pure dark academia. Unfortunately, these more sophisticated playlists that use Pyotr Tchaikovsky over fucking Imagine Dragons don't possess the same entertainment factor in the comments. This is a great shame and reminds me heavily of when McDonald's UK tried to curb teen vandalism and antisocial behaviour by playing classical music after 8 PM. Unfortunately, this ingenious scheme to ruin the great tradition of smashing up the local Mackies was scrapped after swathes of armed and violent youths died from involuntary headbanging. But don't worry, we will return to some of the more batshit examples later on. In the meantime, let's inspect the contents of this video and see if we can find any interesting characters enjoying its somber melodies. I know before I said that classical playlists don't tend to have the same entertainment factor as the more slowed TikTok-type songs, and that's true. But this particular comment is probably the most objectively insane one I'll show today, and I found it completely by accident looking for another more tame comment on the same video. Anyway, let's read. "Attention mortals everywhere. This is Metamind the All-Powerful. The world and all creation has 3 days to give in to my demands. If none of you accept me as your God and Master, the world shall fall. If you obey, if you see as I see, if you believe as I believe, and if you feel as I feel, then together we shall give thee a Pride Month that shall never be forgotten. If you want someone to blame, look no further than a mirror. And for those of you who try to stop me, you will all wish I were never born in 3 days. All must bow before Ma in worship, and of love of your true ruler. 3 days, or existence ceases to be. Dastardly yours, Metamind, God King of Evil." Okay, so It goes without saying, but I sincerely hope Haley gets the help that they need. With that said, what the fuck am I reading? I genuinely had to put this into ChatGPT to check whether I was reading a copypasta. Dastardly yours? That is the coolest sign-off I have ever heard. I've been saying, stay greasy, for literal years at this point, and I am so mad I didn't think of that. The absolute gall to drop an "attention mortals" comment on a 3-year-old video declaring your plans to either commit a horrific hate crime or throw the greatest pride event ever, and then telling everyone that existence will cease to be in 3 days all in the same paragraph is unfathomable. Personally, I choose to believe that the singular like on Haley's, Metamind God King of Evil's comment is what stood between us and total annihilation. So that's the other end of the pipeline. I have no doubt that Metamind was once a normal civilian with a pile of homework and an internet connection. The following comment was left on another video, and without context, it might give you hope that this YouTube genre isn't as bad as it seems. Unfortunately, this was commented on a video entitled, "POV, you are absolute evil." Understandably, the 5 replies on this comment are all people questioning how somebody would go about studying to an evil playlist, let alone one with a track list that includes the GigaChad theme slowed with reverb. As it turns out, this playlist is the single biggest contributor of screenshots out of every video I encountered. In the interest of not beating around the bush, I'm going to skip the setup and just read a few of my favorites to you now. Man, whenever I listen to this, I start to feel the evil beast inside me come. Consumed by the darkness. I am unstoppable. When somebody tries to insult my friends, this soundtrack starts playing in my head. It makes me upset that people do pointless things for no reason. I don't know why I'm putting this here. Okay, this next one actually does need a bit of setup because I kept finding the user on several other videos leaving comments resembling this one, but the following is by far my favorite. I listened to this playlist as I manipulated my way into the cracks and crevices of my ex's life after she ghosted me. I've always been the good guy, but that changed today. I enjoyed tearing apart every false lie and ruining it all. Sure, I'm a little physco, and who's to stop me now? Nobody who I care about will know, just the ones who were intended to fall by it, and not a single tear was shed or negative emotion felt. Only pure joy when I finally won my game. The mind is a weapon, so stop wasting your time on violence, when it's easier to escape the crime scene with an invisible blade. No one had seen her in months, only heard stories of her, and here she was, completely changed. She'd swapped her long hair for a black bob and her naive sparkle to a devil shine within her eyes. She was twirling a knife in her hand, threateningly. "Did you miss me?" She laughed. The man who broke her couldn't help but feel a shiver creep up his spine, and his blood run cold from the monster he created. Having read these to you, hopefully I've got my point across. There seems to be a clear link between the frequency of these unhinged comments and the aesthetic undertones of the content they are left on. I'm not suggesting necessarily that everyone who listens to these playlists or likes the Dark Academia style is an irredeemable villain intent on spreading evil into the world. I am merely saying that there is an interesting Venn diagram forming with Lisa Simpson on one side and Ted Bundy on the other. So, what am I actually proposing we do about this? To be honest, I'm not sure. I just wanted more people to be aware of the situation. A part of me thinks there should be some kind of Sandy Hook PSA about this shit, like, did you spot the girl in the background shopping for Doc Marten clogs and odd socks? No? Unlucky, you will now be psionically blasted with homoerotic smut of Dream and George Not Found. If any of you partake in this area of the internet, don't worry, I get it. School can be hard, and if it works, it works. Also, last time I checked, an A, even when achieved through heretic blood ceremony, is still an A. Interestingly enough, after having the fortune of escaping a few encounters with these people in my personal life, I've observed a significant reluctance on their part to use AI language models in any way. Meaning that in the mind of a Bridgerton viewer, perpetrating extreme violence is a preferable alternative to desecrating the human mind with the perverse ramblings of digital Sam Altman. But it's here that I'd like to admit something. The truth is that many years ago, I used these playlists for work. Maybe that's why I'm making this video, because YouTube has not forgotten the man I used to be. Fortunately for the life and limb of all those around me, I found a way out. A substitute that exhibited all the benefits without instilling a pathological hatred for public housing schemes. Gregorian chanting. I found these videos when I was most wrapped up in the world of villain playlists, and while they may be formatted the same with similar thumbnails and titles, they offer a much more pious, holy approach to studying. These videos acted like the methadone to my villainy heroin and staved off any intense desires to wear woolen sweater vests I may or may not have had. Either way, that's pretty much all I have to say on the subject. If you're a fan of the Dark Academia aesthetic and feel wronged by anything I said in today's video, I would first of all like to apologize sincerely and let you know that I have a family who love me dearly. Otherwise, feel free to leave an ominous message warning of an impending cataclysm in the comments section below. I read them all. Thank you all for watching, subscribe for more like this, and stay greasy, friends. Dastardly yours, Nahum.